They say you always remember the small things. The clink of a glass, the draft through an open chapel door, the way the candles flickered despite the absence of wind. I remember the echo of laughter, the way it spilled out from the back room as I buttoned my cuffs, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked happy. Nervous, sure, but happy in that way a man should be the night before his wedding. It was our rehearsal dinner. The final stretch before vows and veils and promises carved into forever. Friends flew in. Her sister, Maya, was already a little drunk on champagne and nostalgia. My best man, Jared, was in rare form, retelling stories from college like they weren't just mildly embarrassing but outright legendary. Everyone was glowing. And she, Sophie, looked radiant. God, she did. She wore this pale blue dress that cinched at the waist and shimmered ever so slightly when she moved. I watched her hug my mother and laugh at some dad joke my father had made, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is the rest of my life. Then he walked in. I didn't know who he was at first. Not by name. Just this broad-shouldered guy in a gray sport coat with sleeves pushed up like it was still 2008. His hair was too neat. His jaw too sharp. He had this smile like he already knew the ending of a movie the rest of us hadn't seen yet. I caught it, the way her face changed. It wasn't much. Just a half-second pause, like her breath caught in her throat. Her posture stiffened the way it does when you brace for a wave. But then, just like that, she softened. Her smile returned. But it wasn't the one she'd worn for me all evening. This one was practiced. Familiar. Almost intimate. I walked over as he approached her, offering my hand before he could say anything. Hey, I'm Noah, the groom. He took it, firm grip, eyes never leaving mine. David, old friend. Sophie's voice broke between us. He's my ex, she said, with a shrug too casual to be honest. From college. It's nothing. Nothing. It echoed, hollow in my chest. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to tuck that discomfort away, label it as pre-wedding jitters or some leftover insecurity. But the way he looked at her, that wasn't nothing. That was unfinished. He stayed the whole night. No invite. No RSVP. But he was there, sipping whiskey, laughing with her friends like he'd never left. Maya shot Sophie a look once, tight-lipped, but said nothing. Jared pulled me aside during dessert. Who the hell is that guy? He asked. Sophie's ex. Jared blinked. Then why is he here? Good question. I wanted to ask her, to pull her aside and get a straight answer, but every time I moved toward her, someone else intercepted. Her aunt, the photographer, the venue coordinator. And David? He hovered. Not clingy, not obvious. Just present. Always in the corner of my eye. By the time the rehearsal wound down, the champagne was low and the laughter softer, frayed at the edges. The night had weight now, a strange gravity pulling everything downward. Guests began to trickle out, hugs and waves and see you tomorrows echoing through the stone hallway. I finally caught her near the archway outside, where the ivy clung to the old church walls. She looked tired, rubbing the heel of her hand against her temple. I stepped closer. Hey, I said gently. You okay? She turned, startled. Yeah, just a long day. You didn't tell me he was coming. Her eyes locked on mine. For the first time all night, they didn't dart or shift. I didn't know he would. He's in town for work. He saw the photos on Maya's story and just showed up. And you didn't ask him to leave? A beat. Then, it didn't seem worth the scene. I nodded, but I felt it, that cold thing coiling in my gut. He looked at you like he still loved you. She looked away. Don't do this. Not tonight. Sophie. Please, Noah. Her voice cracked. It meant nothing. He's part of a past that's over. I chose you. I wanted to believe that. God, I did. I reached out, fingers brushing hers. Okay, I whispered. Okay. But that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling of my apartment, the silence pressing down on my chest, I kept seeing the way her eyes had lit up when she first saw him. Not with surprise. Not with discomfort. Recognition. And not the kind you have when bumping into an old friend. It was warmer than that. Too warm. It was the look you give someone who still holds a piece of you. A piece you never returned. I told myself it didn't matter. That tomorrow was the beginning of forever, and all of this would fade beneath vows and rings and honeymoon sunrises. But some part of me already knew. Forever doesn't start with shadows. Not ones you pretend not to see. Morning came like a whisper, soft light filtering through the blinds, brushing against the hardwood like it, too, was afraid to speak. I woke up early. Too early. The kind of early that isn't about excitement. It's about dread disguised as nerves. I told myself I was just nervous. Every groom feels it. Everyone second guesses. It's natural, right? But as I sipped black coffee in the quiet of my kitchen, tie knotted around my neck, all I could think about was the look on her face. That flicker. That recognition. The easy lie of, it's nothing. You don't lie about nothing. Still, I moved forward. Tux on. Vows memorized. Jared picked me up around noon, buzzing with energy and jokes that didn't quite land. You ready to lock it down, man? I smiled. Yeah. I don't think I meant it. The venue was stunning. Sophie had picked it, a rustic estate with stone columns and oak beams and rows of wooden chairs facing an arch wrapped in white lilies. The kind of place that looked like it belonged in a magazine. And it did, honestly. The photographer circled the crowd like a shark in a sea of elegance. Everyone was here. Friends from college. Our parents. Her coworkers. Even Maya, who hugged me tighter than usual, eyes scanning mine like she was trying to tell me something without words. And him. David was there. Not in the front row, but not hidden either. Third row back, left side, no +1. Just him. Sunglasses tucked into the collar of his blazer. A man who knew he belonged, or believed he did. My stomach turned when I saw him. Jared saw it too. He's here. I nodded. What kind of lunatic shows up to his ex's wedding? The kind who isn't done, I said, before I could stop myself. Jared put a hand on my shoulder. You want me to say something? I can. No. No scenes. Because I still believed we'd get through it. I still believed that love was enough. That the past was just the past, and I was her future. Then the music started. Everyone stood. My mom wiped a tear. The bridesmaids filed in. Lace and grace and well-rehearsed smiles. And then her. Sophie. She looked like a dream. That's the thing. I can't lie about that. Even now, I remember the way the sunlight hit her veil, how her bouquet trembled just slightly in her hands. She looked straight ahead, not at David, not at me, not at anyone. Like she was walking toward a version of this moment she had built in her mind years ago. And maybe I wasn't part of that vision. She reached the altar, took my hand. Her fingers were cold. You look beautiful, I whispered. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Thank you. The ceremony moved forward. The officiant spoke words I can't recall now. I nodded. She nodded. We laughed once, something about how we met. A story rehearsed to sound spontaneous. There was applause at one point. And then, the vows. She went first. She spoke of patience, of growth, of building something real. You've taught me to believe in second chances, she said, voice quivering just slightly. You've loved me even when I didn't love myself. That line hit me like a punch, because I didn't know she ever stopped. Still, I said mine. About loyalty. About promises. About showing up. About never letting go. And I meant them. Every single word. I meant them even while part of me was screaming inside that something was off. That something was wrong. Then the officiant asked the room, the traditional line. If anyone here has reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. A beat. Silence. A longer beat. And then, from behind me, a voice. Clear. Steady. I do. It was David. The air snapped. I turned slowly, not fully believing it. He stood now. Everyone was watching. Murmurs swelled like a wave. My father looked furious. Maya closed her eyes. Sophie didn't flinch. Not a blink. Not a gasp. Just that same practiced stillness. The officiant stammered. I'm sorry, sir, but... David raised a hand. I apologize for the interruption, but I can't let her marry him without telling the truth. People turned. Heads on swivels. The silence had weight now, thick and breathless. I didn't move. I couldn't. Sophie's hand didn't leave mine. She didn't pull away. But she also didn't look at me. David continued. We've been seeing each other. Since February. My world narrowed. My vision blurred at the edges. February. 5 months ago. She had still been planning the wedding. Picking out flowers. Writing vows. Calling me home. 5 months ago, she was already loving someone else. Someone who looked at her like he never let go. I finally turned to her. Whispered, barely audible. Is that true? Her lips parted. But she didn't say no. She didn't deny it. And that silence said everything. The guests were murmuring now. The officiant looked helpless. Jared looked ready to punch something. David just stood there, hands clasped in front of him, like a man at peace with his sin. I stepped back. Sophie reached for me, but I flinched. "Don't," I said, not loud, not cruel, just hollow. "Please, Noah," she whispered. "It didn't mean. You told me it was nothing." And that's when I saw it. Not regret, not fear, relief. Like the moment she'd been avoiding had finally arrived. Like she was glad the lie was over. I stood there for one more beat. Then I turned, and I walked down the aisle alone. No ring, no vows, no forever. Just the echo of her voice behind me, calling my name. But I didn't look back. I don't remember the drive. Just the way the tux collar started to feel like it was choking me, and the way the steering wheel trembled slightly under my hands. Not from the road, but from me. I drove aimlessly for an hour, maybe more, past the bakery we loved, the park where I first told her I loved her, the street where we'd imagined buying a house together. I saw the life we'd planned in snapshots, each one dissolving as quickly as it came. Eventually, I pulled into a motel. One of those off-the-highway places where nobody asks questions, just takes your card and hands you a key with a number tag swinging from it. Room 27. The bedspread had sun-faded flowers on it, the kind that might have been red once, now just rust-colored smudges. I didn't cry that night. Not because I wasn't broken, but because I felt numb. Like my emotions had been drained through a slow leak, and all that remained was the echo of what I should be feeling. Betrayal, humiliation, rage. But all I had was silence. I didn't call anyone, not even Jared. I knew he'd be furious for me, and I didn't want fury. I didn't want noise. I needed quiet. I stared at the ceiling until morning. The texts came in waves. First Maya, then my mom. A few guests. One even said, "I'm so sorry she did this in front of everyone." As if that was the worst part, the public shame. It wasn't. The worst part was that she didn't deny it. The worst part was that she didn't look shocked. And that meant she'd been waiting for that moment. Maybe even hoping for it. I didn't hear from Sophie that day, or the next. But on the third day, I woke up to her message. "Can we talk?" I didn't respond. That afternoon, she showed up at the motel. I opened the door to her standing there, makeup-free, dressed in jeans and an old sweater she used to steal from my side of the closet. She looked smaller somehow. Or maybe I was just seeing her without the veil of hope I'd always painted over her. She didn't speak right away. "I didn't mean for it to happen like that," she finally said. "You mean with the truth being spoken out loud?" I asked, voice flat. Her eyes welled up. "Noah, I was scared." "Of what?" "Of losing you," she said. "Even after everything with David. I wanted to believe we could still work. That I could choose you and mean it." "But you didn't," I said. "You didn't choose me. You kept me on hold while you figured out your feelings for someone else. That's not love, Sophie. That's convenience." She tried to speak, but I raised a hand. "I would have forgiven a lot," I said. "But not that moment. Not you standing beside me, knowing what you'd done, knowing he might show up, and still walking down that aisle like you deserved to be there." She started crying. Quietly. The kind of tears meant to make me soften. But I didn't. "You should go," I said. "Noah, I mean it. I don't hate you, Sophie. I just can't carry this anymore." She hesitated, then nodded. She left without asking for closure. Maybe because she knew I had already found mine. After that, I moved out of our apartment. Packed up what was mine, some books, a few clothes, my guitar. Left the key on the counter. I didn't leave a note. I figured the silence was enough. Jared helped me find a short-term lease on the other side of town. A tiny studio above a florist that smelled like lilies and soil. It was quiet. I liked that. It took time. Weeks before I could walk down a grocery aisle without remembering how we used to split shopping lists. Months before I could listen to certain songs without something catching in my throat. But eventually, the ache dulled. Like a bruise that lingers, but doesn't throb anymore. People kept asking what happened. I never gave them the full story, because telling it meant reliving it. And some chapters are better left unread by others. But sometimes, late at night, when the city's gone still and all I can hear is the hum of streetlights and the creak of old floorboards, I think about that moment at the altar. The silence after David spoke. The pause before Sophie said nothing. And I wonder, what if she had? What if she'd said something, anything, to fight for me? But then I remind myself, the truth doesn't always need a voice. Sometimes silence is the answer. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. But I do hope she remembers what it felt like to stand before the man she claimed to love and watch him walk away. Because I didn't just walk out of a wedding that day. I walked into the rest of my life. And this time, I won't ignore the quiet.